Today I'll be collabing with a YouTuber with over 11,000 subscribers. His name is Buff Bacon, but I'll call him Buffy. He makes RoN videos, but his subscribers mostly came from his shorts about mapping content. His most viewed short has 500,000 views, so go subscribe to him. I kind of got annihilated in this game though. Maybe I'm not as good as the game as I thought. Okay, let's begin. So me and Buffy both create new, and he chose Spain, so I chose Morocco. In the start, I went for the tank rush setup, which is 1 electronic, 1 steel, and 1 motor factory. I took Gibraltar and immediately made tanks. And I got tank firepower and armor, and then I went for quantum. I also got static lines because this was before the static lines nerf. I took Algeria and Tunisia, and then I went for the Caribbean nations for some extra treasury money, so I can make tanks. I made around 3,000 tanks and sent them up to Spain to invade France. But France had infantry research, which I didn't expect. And I forgot to put max military spending up, so all the 3,000 tanks died. And France just sat in entrenchment, while I had no manpower and I couldn't do anything. Buffy also sent some tanks up, but I'm guessing he also didn't have max spending all the way, so his tanks were also ineffective. Germany joined the war on France's side, and he captured Barcelona. We went back and forth until I gathered enough strength to send 2,000 tanks up to Paris, where my tanks were very affected and did tons of damage. This is where I realized his troops were weak, and mine only died earlier because I forgot military spending. But from the war screen, I could see that my friend Buffy had 4,000 tanks in his land that were just sitting there doing nothing. So I told him to send them in earlier, and he wouldn't do it. Finally, after this interaction with my tanks, he finally decided to send them in, and France scorched all. All this struggle just to beat a noob France player. Me and Buffy were both low on manpower, so we decided to wait a bit. I saw UK was lacking defensive units on his mainland, so I thought I could declare on him and then wait for Buffy to send tanks on London and then add him to the war. But instead, he sent them all the way out to Scotland, where they got chipped away by attrition and Britain's attackers. I also thought he would make a destroyer to beat Britain's submarine, but he never got enough manpower to make a destroyer. God, I'm bad at teamwork. I took more Caribbean treasuries, and he finally made a destroyer to kill that submarine, and I could finally land. His ground units were weak, and after all British units were dead, Buffy finally launches an attack. UK had land in Africa, so I went and got the African parts. By the way, I've decided that for 500 subscribers, I will do a world conquest as Denmark, which is my home country. So please subscribe because I want to hit 500 subscribers by the end of this month. Finally, the UK is gone. After all that struggling just to beat a France player and a UK player that weren't even good at the game, we could finally sit and develop. This is where I researched building costs to mass develop. A lot of people overlook building cost research because you need to first get mining research. And I previously thought the building costs were just to make mines cheaper, but they also make everything else cheaper, which makes development much faster. I want to get tier 8 on all of my core cities. I also took the released African states. I looked at my cores and saw tier 8 everywhere, and I had cybernetics, so I made 13,000 troops and sent them all to India. People mostly develop cities to gain more money from tax income, but development boosts manpower just as much as it boosts money, so that's why I could make 13 million troops. I tested it and saw that going from tier 1 to tier 8 makes your tax income 4 times higher and your manpower increase also 4 times higher. When the troops got to India, he had submarines, but I split them all so much that he couldn't get them all. And when the infantry landed, they were too much for him to defend. He bombed my cities, but I was still surviving. India lost in just over a year. The injured player then switched to USA, and I tried to bomb him, but he had fighters everywhere, and it became a stalemate. At this point, I didn't see the war ending anytime soon, so I just left the round. So thanks for watching until the end, and thank you for all the support I've gotten on the channel recently. It's almost been a month since I uploaded my first video on the channel, and since then I've almost gotten 15,000 views, which is very unexpected. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.